Hi, Blame Memorial. I wanted to bring today's devotion to you by video because it's launching for us a new series in our church, not only on the devotions, but also in worship. We're thinking about first fruits, which is a biblical concept. It's the idea that we bring God our first, our best, not our leftovers. We don't take it for ourselves, use as much as we want until it's no longer as good, and then bring it to God. We don't take it and hoard it and assume that we won't have any more provided for us. We bring God our first because it says we trust that there will be more to come. We bring our first because we say, you've given us the best, God. We want to give the best back to you. We bring our first because we are grateful for how God has done this in our lives. This is a biblical concept, and I think it has to do with obedience, gratitude, and trust. Obedience. We're taught in Deuteronomy 26 that you shall, it uses that strong language, you shall take the first of what God has provided and bring it to the Lord. And then it concludes that section and says, you shall celebrate with what the Lord has provided. So you shall, it's obedience. We're commanded to do this, and we use the word celebrate because it's also something of gratitude. You know, when we are thinking of first fruits, we think of the societies that the Bible came out of, which were often agrarian, people who understood day by day their dependence on farming and horticulture. They knew what it was like to see a tree put forth figs or grapes. They knew what it was like to be dependent on day-to-day living from the farmers and others who could bring them what they need. And so they would look at a tree or a plant and imagine how dependent they were, and therefore how dependent they were on God. This is a fig plant. I don't know that it's ever put forth figs, but we had a fig plant in Florence at our home, and I was so grateful for whoever planted that years and years ago. By the time we received it, it was a mature tree. We didn't have to do much to it, but I could go by during the season when it was putting forth its figs, pluck a few off while I was cutting grass and enjoy that sweet fruit. I didn't do much to make it what it was. It was done before me, and God continued to work through it, but I was blessed by it. I think about that, how others in our church family have done the work to take something like a small plant, or in our church family, a beginning of a church, and they've done the work to tend it and help it to grow. They've watered it. They've put it in good places. This plant has grown because somebody took a seedling and then helped it to grow up to be a plant, and have continued to tend it since. That has happened in our church family for 99 years nearly. People have taken what God has provided, brought the best of it, the first of it, and helped it to grow. Somebody along the way, 99 years ago, decided we need a church in Murrells Inlet and began that process. And through those years, others have tended to it and watered it. But as Paul said, God gave the growth. Paul taught that, he planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So it's a reminder that we all have something to do in this growing. We all have something to contribute, but it is God who makes it happen. That happens in personal life too. We have a goal of becoming better, more faithful disciples of Jesus Christ. And that's really what we are after in stewardship. The goal of stewardship is not to raise money. The goal of stewardship is that we would all become better disciples of Jesus Christ. And the way we do that is by becoming more obedient, by becoming more grateful, by becoming more trusting. That's what this series is about. So I hope in the weeks ahead, we will all spend time considering how blessed we've been. And then in response, how can we obediently return to God the best of what we have, to bring to God our best because of what God has provided for us. I hope we'll think about the reasons we have to give thanks. So many reasons we have that God has blessed us with, that we can look around in our church life and beyond and give God thanks. Write some of those down, because there'll be an opportunity in November not only to bring your commitment card forward, but also to bring a paper fruit where you write one or more reasons you have to give thanks and return those as a thank offering. That will be our gratitude, and the commitment card will be our trust, our trust that God hasn't just given us our fruit in the past, just given us the blessings in the past, but God will continue to. And we can therefore bring God our first and our best, because God won't stop bringing to us all that we need. So like this plant, like our wonderful church, like disciples of every generation, let us keep growing. And we can do that by continuing to bring our first fruits, to bring back to God the first fruits that God has provided for us. I look forward to this series. I'm glad you'll be part of it with us, so that we can continue to be the church God calls us to be together. Thank you.